Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is the Corvette Superstore. Oh, wrong take. But we do have a lot of Corvettes obviously coming in. I think we have 3 Z06s here right now. But this is a fresh one. This is a friend of the shop, a friend of mine for years. Just got his Seawolf Gray metallic Z07 package in. As you can see, it's got the high wing, all the carbon aero. I think this car was 185,000-ish, so I think it checked all the boxes except for the carbon wheels. But it's a really cool spec, probably the most interesting one we've seen come through here and probably that we've seen. But if you come around the side, you'll see this has, I think they're called carbon bronze aluminum or carbon aluminum, like the gold tint wheels, which is actually a really good looking wheel for a factory wheel. This is the Spider, so it's the convertible. In the interior, which we'll show you guys once we're done with the car, is the light gray. It has the gray Alcantara inserts in the headliner and the two-tone like black carbon, and you know, it has like the black aluminum package in it. I think it looks really good. And what we're gonna do on this build is obviously our exhaust. We're gonna lower the car. The client wants to retain the factory wheels for now. But we're going to run the Paragon Spacer Kit on it so that we'll flush them out and make them look like a custom wheel and tire package. But I think once we lower the car, put the exhaust in the spacers on, it'll really make the car the way it should have looked from the factory. Now, what's a little different about this car is only some local clients have seen these, but we have developed our own exhaust that we are doing exclusively on specific clients' cars if they are interested in going down that path. We are not an exhaust manufacturer, but we have worked with exhaust companies in the past to create our own lines, which you guys have seen in the wheels and other stuff like that. If you come over here on the bench, here is what the label exclusive exhaust will look like for the Z06s. Now this weighs less than 5 pounds, obviously all titanium. We have different options for tip finishes, but you can see it has our branding on it, also a really cool plate in the center. Which I think is neat, that ties them all together. And then obviously most clients are gonna opt for these tips. These are all titanium label inscribed tips, which look really good coming out through the diffuser. So this car is gonna sound awesome when we're done. Obviously no valve, so he wants to keep it open the entire time, which I think that's the way we all should be running them, but that's personal preference. But we're gonna take this car all apart, get it up on the lift today, and start that process of getting the exhaust installed and the suspension dialed in. And we'll show you guys on the ground a full walk around of this car when we're done, because I think it's going to be special. Dylan's working on the last part of the internal side of the front bumper, excuse me, the rear bumper. But right now I'm going to remove the wing. The Z07 wing has to come off so that we can remove this rear bumper to install our exhaust. And while I'm working on that, the guys are going to disassemble the front struts to fit the Paragon collars and then put back together so we can have the front lowering done. So let me take this wing off and I'll show you guys kind of what the underside of this wing looks like. I haven't seen a lot of people take these off for some reason or another. And I've always been intrigued at what it might look like once we remove it and see the mounting system. I kind of have a general idea of what it's going to look like, but this is some of the fun parts for us. And these are the bolts. So they're IBR 30 bolts. It's a security Torx bit, but really just 4 of these hold these on to the mounting plate for the wing. Now hopefully this just lifts up and off. And there it is. Really nice piece. Has a nice foam mounting pad, it looks like. And then these are your brackets that will go down and actually attach to the inside section of the tub. The cool thing about this is we actually have all of these internal components in our wide body program that's coming up that obviously we've been really hush about, is going to utilize these exact same mounting systems since they are proven. We're going to design our wing to fit directly to that. So I'm gonna go set this down and keep working on taking the rear bumper apart. So as you guys can see, we've got the bumper off, we've got the wing off, everything good to go. So this is your substructure assembly. This is how the Z07 rear wing is fixed mounted to the vehicle. So instead of being chassis mounted, it's kind of tub mounted with lots of different little arms and fasteners. Pretty cool setup. I do like it. And then these just set up right up on there. They actually stay attached, we found, to the rear bumper. And then your two big 10 mils go down and pin it to the bumper. So kind of cool to see this stripped away. Now that that fun's over, we'll just work on the exhaust, which we've done 100 times, so we know what to do. All right, guys, so we're gonna catch back up with you. We've got the front struts off, and this is a car with nose lift that we talked about. So what I wanted to do real quick is show you, here's our Paragon lowering collars. Corey at Paragon always takes good care of us, so we use their simulators and their lowering collars, and it's pretty straightforward. We pop off the end cap to the strut, take off the bump stop, and then this whole assembly will actually slide off. And then you'll see this is the factory ring. So this is basically what your nose lift and spring sets on, along with this locking ring down here. So we take this off and simply just put the Paragon perch on, and you can see how it drops down the ride height. So that's ultimately your lowering that you're going to get out of the car. Then it's pretty straightforward. You assemble this, put this back together. You can see how it sets back down on there. We'll put our cap on, then we'll put our bump stop back on, and then the guys will put the springs back on. So there's no actual hardware change other than these billet lowering mounts that allow you to lower it, so your ride height or your ride quality isn't sacrificed, still the original mag ride spring and shock, and a really slick setup. So we're gonna get these back together. The hard part is when I'll step away and let the guys put these pins back in, they depin and pin for me. I don't know if you can tell, my fingers aren't made for pinning. It's going to be one of those things I got to have backup come in and do. So the guys are great at that, but we'll get these back together and back in the car for the customer. All right, guys, we have our Z07 project out in the sunlight, and it's, I don't know, 90 today and 90% humidity. So I'm sweating out here in the sun. And this is Michigan. Sometimes you see me out here freezing, sometimes sweating. That's why we love it and hate it here. But back to the car. The car looks amazing. I think pictures speak for itself. This color with the interior spec, like we talked about when the car was dropped off, to me just pops. It's probably the best spec that I've seen come through label as far as the C8, and I really like it. Cool thing is, he's a buddy of mine, so I know I'll see it quite a bit. But if you guys can't tell, you probably haven't seen a lot of them, but this car is lowered. We did run spacers in the back, no spacers in the front, per the customer's request. We could run a small spacer up in the front, but to do it the right way, I feel like we should replace the wheel studs. So I think we'll do that in the future as the customer will want to track the car at some point. But right now I think it looks great. The car lowered, has nose lift, everything's still operational. With those bronze wheels, it just makes it pop, kind of pulls that tone in off of the carbon fiber. That part was easy. Justin put the PPF on it. He took off the rear stripe that came factory from the quarter panel. We thought it was a little busy, kept the front stripe on, and everything else is pretty much as delivered from GM. But if we go to the back of the car, that's kind of where the magic happens on this particular project. That's it. This is our first production label, C8 Z06 race exhaust. Comes with our quad tip package. I think we showed you guys this going on the car. We also have some more content to show you. The limited number that we are gonna run for our special clients that will get this exhaust, but the sound is insane. So forget about everything else on the car. The exhaust is kind of the magic, where the magic happens with this 5.5 flat plane crank. And to me, I don't know that there's a better sounding car out there. I have this on my personal car. We did all the testing on my car and the sound is crazy. So what I think I'll do now is I want to show you guys what it looks like in the sunlight, just set back, top down, that gray interior popping at you. And then I think I'll start it up and give you a sound of our label exhaust. I think that looks awesome. That contrast against that gray and that light gray interior, when you stand back, it kind of just pops. I also really like the ceramic matrix gray LM matching the steering wheel, kind of all pulls together. Small little details, small little details. I do know from the client that if you guys order this spec with the all gray interior, with those gray suede inserts, that you better get some seat covers, because there's no possible way you can sit in that thing and keep it clean. And not because you're dirty, but it's because the dyes and stuff that are on our pants and things rub off on that and it stains it. But it looks awesome like that. So I think now, time for me to just get in the car and give you guys a listen to our label exhaust. We've got so much more content coming in the future for the Z06. We believe this is kind of going to be the pillar of the aftermarket in the Corvette world. The ZR1 is going to be the collector model. Nobody's going to want to mod it. This one comes with that 5.5 flat plane crank. We've got a lot of stuff in the works for SEMA this year. And I think if you've been waiting for the ZR1 and you got the money for it, you want to do something wild, hang on for what we're doing with the Z06. Again, thanks for watching, guys. I think this car came out spectacular. I love the sound. Get it back to the client so he can enjoy it for the rest of the summer. And stay tuned to our next episode.